Disrespected media.
Hello and welcome to Cannonballs, a production of Disrespected Media LLC. I'm Michael Arace, proprietor, producer of this fine program. Go to thedisrespected.com to see all my work, and go to The Athletic to see all the fine work by the mayor of Jacketville, Aaron Portzline, who joins me once again on the show. Today is Friday, the 20th of February. The Blue Jackets have a day off after 2 days, the first 2 days of what will be a week-long mini camp prior to restarting their regular season post-Olympic break. Aaron, I was there on Wednesday. You were there on Wednesday and Thursday, I presume.
Yes.
I'll leave it to you. How would you describe this? I mean, Rick Bowness was pretty clear. He was going to work them hard.
Yeah.
The way I summarized it was he wants to bring him back physically, but also wrinkle some things out in the systems and get everyone on the same page and ready to fire come the 26th when they visit the Boston Bruins in the hub of the universe for their first game back. And again, the other thing too, I'll just mention, they have Boston and New York at Boston on the 26th, and then New York Islanders here 2 days later on the Saturday, the 28th, I believe it is. And those two teams are one directly ahead of them in the wild card standings. The Boston Bruins are holding wild card 2, and the Islanders are directly ahead of them in the Metropolitan Division standings. And so, anyway, let's circle back to the mini camp.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention those two games because even though they're a week off, those were on the whiteboard as the Blue Jackets left the building after their last game of the pre-Olympic break. You know, that was all that was on the whiteboard in the locker room was Bruins, Islanders, and the dates.
Right. And I think all that was on the whiteboard in the players' kitchens was probably Turks and Caicos or Palm Beach or
Aruba.
Right, for sure. Yeah, so I think there's two concerns two things that he wants to address in this training camp. And I think one is bigger than the other. I think the biggest one is he wants them to be physically and mentally ready to battle their asses off, because I think he's worried mostly about the younger players who, in his mind, haven't been through this before. Ken Johnson mentioned like how heavy the games got last year for them when they were crawling their way back in. Fair. I think he has to see it himself, though, from these guys. And Mike, we've all seen it. Like after the trade deadline, especially, but after a mid-season break like this, the level of play goes like up one notch on the dial as people are really starting to stake out their positions now. The other thing is, and I think this has been minimized by the way that the Blue Jackets have played under Bowness, I think he came in here thinking he was going to have to find a way to really work some system changes into this group, things that he thought could make them better, things that would be recognizable as Rick Bowness style of hockey. And I think that the way that they've played and the success they've had has compelled him to think like, I don't want to fix something that isn't broken. I think we can get better within what we're doing. So I think there's going to be subtle tweaks. There have been changes already that they've instituted mostly through video. But these days, if you're going to change anything the rest of the way, this is it. Because once they start playing, it's nutso. Like the month of March, they have 17 games. Really, they have 17 games in 30 days from the 2nd to the 30th. And so there's literally only once that month where they go 2 days without a game. Like at best that month, it's game, day off, game. So there's just literally no time to practice. So if you're going to do something, it's got to be now. I think that we're probably making a bigger deal out of that because I don't think he sees the need for big changes now because he sees the way that they've played with what he's been able to do so far.
I think as much as anything, yeah, he said he was watching video of games during his break, probably on his boat somewhere in South Florida. And he took notes on, all right, I want to iron that out. All right, I want to fix this. I want to tweak that. Nothing huge. I think more than anything, Porty, I think he wants to put them in a certain frame of mind. This is almost like a week-long skull session here. For lack of a better phrase, he wants them firing out of the gate here because they have to. I mean, that's their situation.
Right.
Like they just won 11 of 12, 10 of 11 under bonus. And they don't have to maintain that pace, but they have to maintain something close to it.
Yeah, right. And, the big change here, let's not kid ourselves. They're scoring more goals, but the big changes here is how they've defended. And defending is a lot of X's and O's. It is. But I think, I'm an idiot, but I think defending largely is attitude and just how hard you are.
Well, you're a goon, Porty.
And I feel like, and I think Goodbranson has helped them at net front, but I think the whole team is just stiffer defensively. They have a different attitude defensively. I think they came into the season feeling like they could score. Last year they scored their way out of their own defensive woes, and this year they weren't quite able to do that as much under Evison. But this team really defends hard now. And the goaltending's been better. I don't want to minimize what Elvis and Jet Greaves have done, but I think the play in front of them has been much more competitive, at times combative, and I think they're seeing different shots and fewer of them than they were before Bonus got here.
Yeah, it was funny. This sort of same question was bouncing around our house. We were joking with Mrs. Arace because she's easy to rile, but we were joking with her. Elvis is going to come back as shattered goaltender from the Olympics because he got lit up and he was going to get lit up. And Brian Hedger from the Dispatch put that question in so many words to Bonus on Wednesday, and asked him if he was worried about Elvis after the, he didn't have a good defense in front of him. And Bonus's answer was funny. He laughed, said he talked to Elvis, and he said, "We're not going to let the opposition make 3 passes right in front of your net. At least I hope not." So in other words, yeah, I understood. Don't worry about it. Come on back, and we'll get you on the beam, and let's go.
Right. And yeah, for me, the Olympics are great. The great games are great. There's a lot of games where, frankly, it's hard for me to get too enthused because of the disparity. And it's as bad on the men's at times as it is on the women's side, frankly.
Yeah, well, this semifinal going on now, Finland, Canada. Is Finland still up to?
Well, this shit's real now. It's 2-1.
No, it's 2-2.
What is? Okay.
According to my executive producer. And winding down in the third period.
Whoa, nervy moments.
I know. We should mention Zach Werenski and Team USA play later today as we record here in the mid-afternoon or early afternoon. Porty, your thoughts on Z's play in Milan and that of Team USA?
I think Z's been really, really good. I mean, how cool is it to see Quinn Hughes and Zach Werenski wheeling and dealing? My God.
And he's been using them. Sullivan's been using them at the end of periods.
Yeah.
That's his pair. You know what I mean? I know.
Yeah. I think Quinn has upstaged Z a little bit in this one. Quinn was not around for the Four Nations, if you remember.
Right.
And really, I think if the USA comes away with gold in this thing, should it come down to Canada, that might be the difference that a lot of people look at, right? Because that he is, I still think, personally, I think I put Werenski, and I would get smoked for this on a national level probably, but I put Werenski a half step ahead of Quinn Hughes as a player, as a defenseman.
I think he has a more mature 200-foot game than Quinn Hughes at this point in Quinn Hughes' career.
But Hughes has really grabbed this Olympics,
God.
And his status has soared by the way that the Minnesota Wild have taken off since he joined them. So give him a ton of credit. He's been incredible in this tournament. But but yeah, watching those two guys wheel and deal, and it's really interesting to me, like just the mindset of those two guys on the ice together. Like there's usually a green light guy, right? Who's the green light guy when it's Quinn Hughes and Zach Werenski? We wondered that with Werenski and Seth Jones here years ago.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting, but what a matchup that would be if it comes to pass.
This has to be, unfortunately, a brief episode. Porty has things to do. I have things to do to get to, interviews to conduct. So we should get right to something we've all been monitoring. I would refer you to The Athletic on the Blue Jackets page, where Aaron wrote about Don Waddell's view of the trade deadline and his prominent UFAs. I myself posted a piece this morning at disrespected.com, which has an explanatory lead and a Q&A with Waddell. Interesting stuff, Aaron. I'll just set you up by saying the Jackets will play 5 games before the trade deadline, which is Friday the 6th of March, and 3 p.m. on March 6th. So they'll have 5 games, the last one being on the 5th. And it's crazy to think about the import of those 5 games on what the Blue Jackets general manager may or may not do at the trade deadline. Take it away, Aaron Portzline.
Yeah, well, I think there's just a ton of moving parts here. I think it's those 5 games. I think if they hold serve in those 5 games, not much changes. If they shit the bed in those 5 games, I think maybe something changes or the outlook changes. But it's a really, I would think, a tough time for Waddell, because these trades don't just happen with a 2:30 phone call done before 3. Like, a lot of the groundwork is laid for these, and I think he thinks he's in the market to be a buyer. And by buyer, I mean keeping his own UFAs mostly, while also listing on other. He doesn't want to. He doesn't use the word rental, but he wants players with term if he acquires them.
Right.
So he's not doing rentals. But
he also used the phrase with me, chip around the edges.
Yeah,
in other words, he's not, unless a player with term, and so it would be a significant player by implication. Unless that lands on his lap, then by chipping away at the edges, he means, in my view, he's going to add some depth, maybe plug some holes that he and the coach perceive, and leave this cast largely intact.
Yeah. And I think so again, to the moving parts with what you just said, if he can't sign Coyle, can't sign Marchment, can't sign Jenner, right? I think those are the big 3. I think Branson's the guy that they plan to keep through the trade deadline. But if it's just so far apart, and Charlie Coyle might be the most sought after free agent at the deadline. He might be. So if he can't get him signed and somebody calls him and says, first round pick and this prospect for Coyle, he has to measure then, can he find a suitable third line center elsewhere? And he's got to measure what damage that does to this team psychologically, who loves Charlie Coyle, who relies on him heavily. You know where he fits. You know how he fits.
He has 12 points in the last 5 games or something
Correct.
like that.
And he's a third line center, kind of, but he plays big minutes and he plays in every situation. I find it hard to believe. I don't think Don Waddell wants to be the enemy of the people here by moving these guys out because he gets great deals. I think he wants to make a run this season. But again, what do you do if you come out of the gate 0-5 or 1-4 and you're 7 points out or you're 8 points out? It can turn quickly. So these are all the things he has to consider. And if he does, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if he does end up moving on Coyle or Marchment, I think he tries to do something to replace those guys while they're on the way out the door. I don't think he wants to take away from this group. but that's a lot of traffic going both directions.
Right.
And to me, it's almost more than you can expect to happen on one day.
All right, Porty, what's the best of all worlds at the trade deadline?
For me, it's you sign all of your UFAs or you keep all of your UFAs. I think Coyle and Marchman are at the top. I think they would feel more comfortable going beyond the deadline with Boone and Goodbranson. Those two guys, I'm not saying they won't go past the deadline with them unsigned. I just think there'd be some nervousness to it, but you keep them because you want this group to give this group a chance. You do that, and I think you bring back Nick Foligno from Chicago. He may not be an everyday player for you, but he's in the room. I think that is an emotional boost to the city, to the room. A lot of these guys don't even know Nick, right?
Right.
Because a lot's changed since he left. But Werenski knows him. Boone knows him. The guys who loved him know him. And I don't think there's any issue with the leadership group welcoming in a prominent leader late in the season, not Foligno. And I think you do stuff like that. I think you have to do. Last year was a swing and a miss by Waddell at the trade deadline. Like those, the Coonans, and I can't remember who the other cat was right now. I'd have to think about it. They just didn't bring anything.
Yeah, 40.
They didn't bring anything.
You just said that. I said, wait, they did something at the trade deadline last year.
Right. They added around the edges. Now, part of it was because he wanted to keep that group together after what they'd been through. Respect.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
Get it. This year's different. I think he feels the other thing that he will mention, and I think it's legit with this team's size and this team's depth. They could be really difficult if they get in.
Right.
There's a lot of big dudes that you just don't want to see for 7 straight games.
And Waddell is explicit about that. He says, I think we're built for the playoffs. We just got to get in, is an exact quote from him. Yeah.
Eric Goodbranson is a player, bottom 6 guy for sure, but a player in the regular season you worry about at times against teams with a lot of speed. In the playoffs, as this thing goes on and as these teams, they all start skating in sand, that's 6'6", 225-pound with freaking python arms. Those guys don't go away. And you look at how so many players, the Tanevs, have elevated themselves in the postseason. They're not regular season behemoths, but boy, game after game in the postseason, that's a tough guy. I think he might try to add more size on the back end and really solidify that third pair because I'm not sure he's that thrilled with where it is.
We'll see how it goes. I don't have a great grasp of the market. Your people of the Athletic have their lists, don't they? They can flat out make lists.
Well, yeah, of course. Top 9.
So we'll wrap here, Porty. It's a question I've asked you on this podcast previously. We'll throw it at you once again. Do you think they're going to get in? We're back to they have to get in. Do you think they're going to get in? And this all goes to it's all about Zach Werenski, isn't it? But I guess it is. We've mentioned that before. But anyway, your prognostication.
I do think they get in. I think the really interesting thing for me is we keep looking up, right? You have to look up. Islanders, Penguins, are they in grasp? Can they catch Boston?
Yeah, what do
we think Florida's going to do?
Yeah.
Is Florida too far behind? They might be too far behind, Mike. Like, what are they, 9? Florida is 9 points behind. 4 points behind Columbus, but they're 8 points out of a playoff spot.
And they've been banged up.
And you know they're going to roar. They're going to roar. They are, not to play a Panther joke. But what about Washington? Do they find a blow here in the second half? I'm not sure I believe in the Islanders. I've been saying all year I think Pittsburgh's going to be a better team than most people expected. I didn't think they would get in. We're not talking about them because they're only a point ahead of the Islanders, so they're not the immediate target. But what if Sidney Crosby's out for a while?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, if you didn't see it, folks, he was injured in the, first or second game Canada played in the tournament.
Yeah.
In the Olympic tournament.
Does Montreal start to backpedal? You know, they could. Detroit could, right?
Yeah.
It's a mess over there.
I like Montreal. I don't like the way Washington was playing, and that was prolonged. So
Yes.
I'm not a huge believer in Washington.
They won the President's Trophy last year.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy.
But geez, Porty, they just haven't looked good this year. All right, we'll end on that. Well, once again, Porty and I say they're going to get in. Did I say they were going to get in last time we talked about this, Porty?
Yeah.
Well,
I may
okay.
have said no.
I'll go back and check, and I'll put it in the captions here. That's Aaron Portzline of The Athletic. Porty, what did you have today? What do you got coming up at The Athletic?
Well, I'm working on a larger piece. I really like this. I need something to make me happy these days. Talking to AHL coaches about how they tell players that they've been called up to the NHL for the first time.
Well, that's a great. I told you this when you mentioned it the other day. That's a great story idea.
I
can't wait to read that one.
Some of their interactions and how they do it and how meaningful it is to them, especially the coaches who never played in the NHL themselves, who truly appreciate what that conversation would have been like.
Impacting young people's lives, Porty.
That's what we do.
It's what they do, yeah. That's check out all of Aaron's fine work at The Athletic, and please go to thedisrespected.com. Subscribe.
Disrespected.
That's right. I'm cheap.
Cheers up for the life and the legacy of Scott Davis.
That's right.
Michael, see you later today. Our former sports editor, assistant sports editor, Scott Davis.
And again, one of the best among us. And when I say us, I mean the human race. This was a really tremendous person. And unless you crossed him, then he was still a tremendous person.
Puck, wasn't he?
Let's just say he could take care of himself.
He was hard on the puck.
Yes.
We did have some battles, but always respectful, always.
He was a wonderful man. Rest in peace, Scott Davis. So his viewings today, and Aaron, I'll see you there. This has been Cannonball's podcast, the production of Disrespected Media. Again, disrespected.com, thedisrespected.com. Please visit and subscribe. And as far as these podcasts go, like, subscribe, follow, rate, review. It helps a lot. Thanks for joining us, Aaron. Thank you for joining us. And that's a wrap for this one.
Respect the disrespected.
Amen, brother.
Thanks, Mike.
All right,
Talk to you soon.
Hold on. Are you uploaded? Just about
98%. Crazy how fast it is.
Yeah, it used to be a lot more. Hold on a second.
Something Columbus is the name for passing through. Forgotten franchises, they tried to steal the crew. Flyover country left the Jackets feeling blue. Fire up Nordic and noise, we have a place for you. We love to talk Columbus Crew. Blue Jackets finally get their due. We cover pro Columbus. Tune in and join us. Disrespect.